You do have kind of a connection to Gladewater through your son and your daughter-in-law. It's your daughter-in-law that has the connection to
Yeah.
Gladewater, but um,
Yeah. Well, now both of my boys live there.
yeah, I know that's crazy.
Yeah. So both of my boys, Kalen James and his wife Kayla,
Okay,
and my son Kalen and his wife Kayla.
they both married Kayla's.
Keeping it easy for old dad.
That's great, man.
but
Oh,
but
so
my
there's
yeah.
two
So
Kayla Berries in the family now.
that's it. And my son Sean, who married Kayla, who we refer to as Texas Kayla,
Yeah.
because that's where she's from.
Yep.
We they have two little girls. One's 5, and one was just born a few weeks ago.
Wow.
And
Congratulations.
and then thank you. And then our son Kalen, who moved there with his wife, Alabama Kayla. They got a little boy Isaac, who is just turned 3 years old,
Man,
and he is Papa's little buddy now. He
let's
is
go.
he is my little. I sure do miss him. They used to live here in Gallatin, where we are, about maybe 4 miles from us, and I see him every day.
Yeah.
And now I don't see him.
Man, long
You know,
distance grandfathering is hard. I've been there. I know how it is, man.
yeah. So
It's tough.
we burning up the road from between here and Gladewater. So
Yeah, so it was a tough decision to take on a show in Gladewater, probably, right?
well, yeah, it's a pretty tough decision. Yeah.
Yeah, get to
Let
see
me
your
think about it. Yeah.
babies.
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can. My son Kalen, he plays drums for us, has for years, and so I'm gonna see if I can get him to, play some with us. And just he's got a thing he plays called a beatbox,
Yeah.
and this thing you sit on and play. It's pretty cool, and he's pretty great at it. And maybe I can get Sean to sing a song or two. I don't know
Well,
if
I'll
it
tell you
will or
what. You
not.
do have one talented family with you and your wife. Your both your boys. What about your daughter? Is your daughter involved in the music as well, or?
No, she was a dancer all through high school and in college, and now she is a very successful flight attendant with Delta Airlines,
Okay.
and she has ended up. Um, she moved up pretty quickly, and now she still does some flight attendant work, but now she does training for flight attendants,
Okay.
and there's a new curriculum that was requested, and they asked her to write the curriculum for training for the flight attendants and for overseas what they call pursers.
So she got
So
that
she's
traveling gene from you for sure. Then.
oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and so pretty, but she's a talented girl at that. So
So a little bit of background on John Barry. John was born, if I'm correct me if I'm wrong, John. At any point, you were born in Aiken, South Carolina, but kind of grew up and sowed your roots in the Athens, Georgia area. Is that correct?
well, grew up in Atlanta,
Okay.
and then when I lived there from 8 years old till 24 years old, and uh, and then I moved to Athens, and then I lived most of my life there.
Right. So what was it like
And
growing up in the Atlanta area for you as a youngin?
it was great, man. We lived in a little neighborhood for the first number of years, and then my mom and dad bought a house, and we moved from what I guess Decatur, Georgia, to just down the road to Chamblee, and I lived there and went to high school, and had great friends there, and really. Um, Matter of fact, I started playing guitar when I made that, just before I made the move from Decatur to Chamblee. I started playing the guitar, and when I made that move, I'm glad I said that guitar playing became very important, because I went from knowing everybody in the school
Mm-hmm.
to knowing nobody in the school, and so my guitar kind of became the security blanket,
Yeah.
kind of thing. But I made some lifelong musician friends there, and a matter of fact, one of them I just talked to day before yesterday. He's moved to Nashville. Piano player Perry Barton, and it was a great environment, great musical environment to be in, and that house we lived in, it had a basement, and my dad helped me build a little recording studio in the basement of that house, and it was very crude and very rude, and but I recorded my first 4 albums
Yeah.
in that little studio, as horrible as they were. And then I did two more independent albums before I ended up getting a record deal with Capitol Records. So.
Yeah, we're talking 6 indie records back when indie was not really known and lauded as it is today. Like, I think everybody's an indie artist today, right? Like, everybody wants to be an indie artist. Everybody has their own studio in their shed or their garage or whatever. But you were doing this in the '70s, like
I
long
was
time ago.
I was indie before indie was cool.
That's right. That's right, man. And man, I wanted to talk about maybe some lessons that you still kind of apply in your life that you learned from your folks as a youngster.
Work hard, you know. Keep your priorities straight. Um, my dad was a hardworking construction worker. I mean, and you know, being a being a musician was the furthest thing in the world they had in their minds for any of their kids. You know,
Yeah.
and but both my brother and I ended up following music in little different paths, but still did. And but also how important faith can be, and how important faith is, and you want to keep that on the front burner, and which I do and have. Um, how short life is,
Yeah,
boy.
yeah. Yeah, I've
I
seen
mean,
that
I'm
throughout your story for sure. That all of this
yeah,
has served you well, hasn't it?
yeah. I mean, I'm 65, and I've outlived my mom by 13 years. You
Yeah.
know, my mom died young,
Yeah.
and of course, my dad he's passed as well, but he was 68 when he passed, which is still young,
Yeah.
and 68 is not nearly as old as he used to be.
Mm.
And
Yeah, my dad was 68 when he passed as well, so yeah, I'm right
mm,
there.
yeah,
And it
but
definitely is
it's
young for sure.
yeah, but it's I think the biggest thing that I learned from my folks is how important our faith is, and how important our relationship with Christ is, and
Yeah.
it's not just something that you do on Sundays, you know.
Mm-hmm. Man, you talked about kind of taking a path not exactly paved before in your family, the music path for both you and your brother. Was there full support all the time from your folks, or was there kind of a like, this isn't a real job, you might want to try to find something a little easier? Like what was it from your folks in that aspect?
Well, they, my mom. I don't know. I think my dad didn't think it. Being a musician is not a way to make a living.
Right, right.
But
Well, you proved them wrong, first of all, if that's true.
well, but it's a tough road.
Oh, absolutely,
It's
yeah,
it's sure enough a tough road,
yeah,
and and there's a lot of things where you do stuff, and you might have face rejection and things like that. People say, well, he's got to be businesslike about it. It's just business. It's not personal.
right,
That's BS.
yeah. It
It's
truly
very
is.
personal, especially when you're writing songs about that are from the depths of your heart.
Yeah, those are your
You know,
kids, man. That's your passion, and
yeah,
then yeah,
yeah. It's what you love, and now, granted, I did those earlier albums, and I can't even listen to some of that stuff. It's so bad. Yeah, I was a horrible songwriter, but I had to, had to learn what I was doing, and I sort of did, and I had people that helped me along, and but it's a miracle, and I made a living singing. I mean,
yeah,
it's um, I'm not There's some. I've been fortunate to record some great songs and get some great takes. I don't write myself off as being the best singer in the world. I love to get to do it, and fortunately, I've been able to record some things that have touched people's hearts. And I think that's the biggest thing to do is, sing songs that mean a lot to me, and maybe they'll mean a lot to somebody else. So.
well, I think your voice was really signature at a time when voices were all signature, right? Like when people came on the radio in the '90s, typically as a country music fan, we knew who was singing and who was playing and all that.
Yeah.
It's not entirely like that anymore, but you were in that scene where, vocally speaking, you can always identify who it was by their voice, and you were definitely signature in that time. I feel at least.